everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make a card using the Build-A-Plaid stamp set. And I've created this set of cards in various colors. Today I'm going to show you how to make this one using BlueBird cardstock. So the stamp set that I'm using for the sentiment is part of the December stamp of the month, and you can get this for $5 with a $50 purchase in my online store. It has a lot of great sentiments and good things for putting inside cards. And the other set that we'll use is the Build-A-Plaid stamp set. So the first thing that we're going to do is stamp the sentiment, and we're going to emboss this in white detail embossing powder. So I'm using the soft side of my Versamat for stamping and my static reducing powder tool before I stamp with Versamark ink. It's that sticky ink that the powder will stick to. And I'll bring in my white detail embossing powder. And I'll cover that stamped image with the powder. And when you're stamping with white on a dark cardstock, you tend to get some noticeable strays, and so I just take a paintbrush and brush those other spots off the best that I can. And then I'll bring my heat gun in and we'll melt the powder. And then I'm going to die cut the sentiment using the metal die from the Hawthorne workshop. And I'll take that and cut it on my BigShot. So that's cut and ready to go. And then I'm going to bring my Versamat back in. And again, we're stamping on the soft side of the Versamat. I'm placing grid paper underneath my cardstock to use as a guide to stamp the lines straight, and also to catch the excess ink that goes over the sides on each side of the cardstock. So I'm inking up my stamp with black ink, and I'll just stamp repeatedly with a space in between. It's about 1/4 of an inch, one of those squares on the grid paper in between each line. And then I'll flip it around and stamp the other side to make a plaid pattern. I like this Build-A-Plaid stamp set. You can get a lot of background papers out of this set, and you don't need any pattern papers. You can create a pretty card just using cardstock and stamps. Okay, I'll clean my stamp, and then I'll remove the temporary adhesive on the back of the cardstock with the Rub and Remove eraser. So I encourage you to look at your stash and see what kind of die cuts you have. I die cut a number of images using metal dies and also with my Cricut. So I cut this one twice and glued them together for dimension. And then I'm going to spritz it with some Hero Arts Shimmer Mist. It's hard to see on camera, but it really gives a nice effect. So that's ready to go, and we're ready to start assembling the card. I'm using a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card base. And I've cut BlueBird cardstock in the same size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to glue everything down with the Bonding Memories broad tip glue pen. So I'll get that down and smooth it out with my bone folder. The next piece is White Daisy cardstock, and it's cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4 so that I can leave a border of BlueBird cardstock around it. I will make a list of all of the cut dimensions and supplies needed to make these cards. I'll list everything below with links. So the next one is the plaid piece that we stamped. And again, I'm going to put that one down with a white border around it. I'll mat the sentiment on White Daisy cardstock as well. I'm using the Tombow Aqua glue, and I've decanted it into a fine tip bottle. It gets in the tight spaces, and I like to use the aqua glue because when it dries matte. So if any amounts of glue seep out from under the edges of the image, it won't be noticeable. So I'll get that down, and then I'll put something heavy on top of it. And then I'm going to use the thin foam tape to adhere the sentiment to the front of the card, give it a little more dimension. And then the last thing is to add a little bling. These are art pebbles from Prima. And I'm just going to secure one in the center with the aqua glue. And then our card is finished. I hope you'll give this project a try. I appreciate you spending some time with me today. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And thanks for watching.